Hey, but have you tried, listeners? This is Steve from This Endorian Life. Be sure to check out the first part of this Karate Kid discussion when Nick and I revisit the forgotten Karate Kid animated series from 1989. Listen to This Endorian Life from the Radio Meanwhile Network wherever you get your podcasts.
Spoiler alert, that's not a good show.
Oh, no.
No, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. They just take the premise of, of this found family, father figure learning karate together, and they turn it into this, global hunt for a sacred artifact.
Oh.
And so each episode, they're in some new
That sounds almost like Librarian's
locale.
Quest for the Spear kind
It
of
does.
vibe.
We were trying to
But
decide,
not in a good way.
if you're a Karate Kid fan, would you like that? No. If you were a fan of that kind of show, would you like this? No.
So
and
who's
also,
it for?
I don't know. And Mr. Miyagi is basically a superhero.
Oh.
We kept laughing because you would think something cool was about to happen, like Daniel was about to, and Mr. Miyagi would just appear out of nowhere and just drop kick somebody in the face. And we were
That's
like, well,
funny.
it is funny, but unintentionally
Just
funny.
Deus Ex Machina Miyagi.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's worth checking out, but I wouldn't recommend.
Well, anyway, I'm Allie.
I'm Nick.
And this is But Have You Tried? From the David A. Howe Public Library.
That's right. Never forget.
And today we are talking about The Karate Kid, which, if you've been listening to This Endorian Life, you've already heard some Karate Kid stuff,
That's
which
right.
we were just talking about.
That's right.
And today we're going to talk about even more Karate Kid stuff.
I'm excited here because, as always, you've been tight-lipped. I have no idea how you feel
I try and keep it
about the Karate Kid
under
franchise.
wraps.
I don't know how far you went
It's true.
on this journey, but I do know that you were recently recognized by the Allegheny County Board of Legislators for your excellent community service. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That was pretty fun. Allie and Kate Miller, the children's librarian, were recognized for their contributions to the library and the community, and went up there and got plaques and pictures taken.
It was
and
very official.
Formal resolutions, and it was
I
exciting.
don't know if I've ever been part of such an official organization gathering. That was cool.
You regretted the heels, but you pulled it off, so good for you.
Well, I realized I don't have any dress shoes that are not heels, except for a pair of ruby red Dorothy slippers.
Okay.
And a pair of sparkly silver shoes that I've worn to 3 different weddings.
Okay. So you got your money's worth out of those sparkly shoes, though.
It's true, and they only
that's
cost
good.
me like $7.
Yeah.
I got them on sale because I have a weird size of feet.
Yeah.
But
Do you? Is that true?
Yeah, they're kind of small.
Small. Well, what a surprise.
I mean, yeah.
What a surprise.
Shocker. A small person would have small
That's
feet.
hilarious.
But I felt like maybe sparkly shoes in either red or silver wasn't the moment for that situation.
It could have been a power statement, I think it would have worked.
I did consider it, but I was like, no, probably I should be a little more staid and formal.
Yeah. I think I have a big head.
Okay.
Not just hair. I think because hats are always a problem for me, which I frequently lament.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I feel like I had a big head for my age.
Okay.
But now, again, I'm just
metaphorically,
overall
egotistically.
Well, I mean,
Is that what you
maybe
mean?
that too. But I feel like now, because so many people are bigger just overall, I feel like my head is big for my body, but it's not a big head.
I see.
In the scheme of heads.
Okay.
If that makes
I haven't
any
noticed.
sense.
Seems like a normal size head.
No.
But I thought you had regular feet too, so what do I know?
That's true.
My wife and I met in a play in college, and in the play, I was wearing suits. It was a period, it was 50s, and I had a nice fedora, which was so cool. Wouldn't fit on this melon.
Oh, no.
And so it became this running joke because every time I would walk on stage as if I were taking it off, and I would leave as if I were putting it on, but it could never actually fit on my head. So
it's just an illusion.
That's right. But that is what is the theater if not one big illusion?
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else going on that we need to know about? Summer reading program? How you feeling?
Going like crazy. I mean, the program is good, but the summer part, man, it's been brutal this week.
It has. Color your world with heat.
Exactly.
Stroke.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
That's
Stay
really
hydrated.
how it has felt. Yeah, no, I've been drinking like crazy.
Yeah.
And doing Gatorade and everything. And
Gatorade?
It's
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I do when it's really bad. I'm like,
you got to
all
get the Gatorade out. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been every day when I walk to work, I'm taking the strategic route that has the most shade. I've got my sunglasses. I've got my hat. I've got my sunscreen and everything. It's been pretty legit.
Okay. I don't think I've had Gatorade since I was a teenager. I used to do these community theater shows with my friend Bo, and Bo and I just recorded a Pride Month episode of How's Things, so hop over to that feed and listen, because we had fun. But Bo and I, in between, Meet Me in St. Louis or something, one of the shows we did together, we would walk over to the gas station, and we would get a Gatorade Frost. I was partial to the grape Gatorade Frost. So Gatorade, in my mind, is very, very strictly connected to youth theater in Marshall, Michigan in the late 90s.
Yeah, I've noticed just sometimes in the summer I can get a little dizzy, and I think it's just again dehydration, blood sugar, all that stuff.
Well, I mean, you're walking around with tiny feet, that big giant head.
I know it's a lot to deal with.
That's tricky.
So I've started. I'm not constantly drinking it, but it's like I'll have it on hand if I need it.
Okay,
it's my secret.
All right, so if I need a Gatorade fix, I'll come. You did help me. You did a solid the other day, and you gave me an apple when I was starving. So that was pretty nice of you. So I thank you for that apple. Maybe that's why you won the award. A simple act of kindness.
Maybe that is.
Yeah, that's what really pushed it over the edge.
Anyway, I've got some facts about The Karate Kid. You want to hear them?
I would love to hear them. Yeah, please.
Okay. The Karate Kid is a 1984 American martial arts drama film. This was directed by John G. Avildsen and written by Robert Mark Kamen. The first movie in the Karate Kid franchise, starring Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, Elizabeth Shue, and William Zabka. Is that how we say that?
Yeah.
Okay. Oscar winner Hilary Swank joins the series as the next Karate Kid. Is she the main character?
She is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm terrible about
your assignment.
I know. Well, I watched the movie. I just didn't know who the actor's name was.
Yeah, that's Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny because she was added to the cast of Beverly Hills 90210, which was like a juggernaut of a show.
Right.
In season 8. And they fired her, and within a year she had won an Academy Award. So
that's
I think
crazy.
She probably won that little spat.
Wow,
it's probably good for her. $1 Million Baby, by the way, saddest, most unpleasant movie I've ever seen in my life. So I don't
believe I've ever seen that.
Yeah,
I don't know if I know
movie,
Hilary Swank, which is why
dark.
I didn't know who she was.
All right.
I mean, she looked vaguely familiar, but just in that way that people do,
Yeah, sure.
But anyway,
she's been around. She's been around since the 90s.
Anyway, Kamen was approached by Columbia to compose a film similar to Rocky, which was such a big success.
Oh, yeah.
And he drew inspiration from the real-life events of an 8-year-old Tumpai student's history in Hawaii when writing the film, which I thought was kind of an interesting fact. And that's part of why, he had some then strong opinions about the cast and really, pushed for Morita to be part of it. Yeah,
well, that's funny because Pat Morita, I think now is more... is known as Mr. Miyagi. You see Pat Morita and you're like, it's Mr. Miyagi.
Right.
But before that, he was a regular on Happy Days, and he was like a comedian, and does not, that is not his accent either. He talked a lot about in interviews about just finding the Miyagi voice and just really leaning in. But they were like, no, we need a serious guy. This is, we don't need some 2-bit comedian from Happy Days. But, it became his signature role, which is kind of fun.
I mean, it's so iconic,
It is. You mentioned Rocky, and I read Ralph Macchio's book a few years ago. It's called Waxing On.
That's
Do you get the reference?
Mm-hmm.
And he said that somewhere, probably the 80s, because, late 80s, early 90s, he was approached by Sylvester Stallone, or they were talking about doing a Rocky Karate Kid
crossover?
Team up crossover kind of thing. Gosh. And they were kind of oh, actually, that is a terrible idea. And it never happened.
That would be crazy.
It never happened. And then I think eventually that kind of just went to the soft reboot of the Jaden Smith, Jackie Chan one, which is pretty good. I mean, I rewatched it when I watched the movies with my son. I hadn't seen it since theaters. And I was like, yeah, this holds up. And then Karate Kid Legends, kind of brings it all together. But, yeah. Anyway.
Nice.
Continue with your facts.
So there are 4 original movies in the series between 1984 and 1994, and then an animated series in 1989, which is the one Nick and Steve covered on This Endorian Life.
We did.
Which apparently was disappointing.
Not a good time. It's only 13 episodes, and I was like, I should just watch them all, and I watched the first one, and I was like, I think I'm out.
Understandable. Followed by a reboot, which we just discussed with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith in 2010. When I was a kid and people talked about The Karate Kid, this is the one they were talking about.
Yeah, it was a pretty big hit, as I recall, and there was always talk of a sequel, and it just never happened, so I don't know.
Interesting. Anyway, and then a spin-off series, Cobra Kai, in 2018, and a 6th movie, Karate Kid Legends, featuring a team-up of Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan in 2025.
Yes, which I have seen, and it was very fun. It was very fun, and a lot of the reviews really kind of ticked me off because it really leans heavy into the fun nostalgia of the Karate Kid, and all the reviews were like, "This is just fun nostalgia," and I'm like, "Yeah, bro, yeah, correct." What did you think it was going to be?
That's the point. That's what we all signed up for.
It's a legacy sequel, so of course that's what it is. But it's fun because the Karate Kid 2010, the Jackie Chan one, he doesn't play Mr. Miyagi. He plays a different character, Mr. Han.
Right.
And they really are doing kung fu in that one. And so it was always kind of seen as like it's a separate thing. But Legends does a really good job of making Mr. Han and Mr. Miyagi like old friends.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so when Jackie Chan is in trouble, he has his nephew, sort of a nephew protege. He's in trouble. He calls Ralph Macchio as like Miyagi's, legacy, and it's like, I need you to come in and like bring that Miyagi-Do knowledge into this, and so Macchio does, and there you go.
That's cool.
And I was worried that it wasn't going to tie into Cobra Kai at all, but there's some fun Cobra Kai stuff in there that delighted me as a fan of that series. So I assigned you the original, and I thought you might enjoy the next Karate Kid, and I said if you could watch Cobra Kai even just to test the waters, I would recommend it, and I'm curious to see what you did.
I watched the original, and I did watch the next Karate Kid, and then I watched 2 episodes of Cobra Kai.
Oh, look at you.
I know.
Studious. Maybe that's why you won that award.
Maybe it is.
Because you went the extra mile. That's cool. What did you think? Tell me. Let's start with the first one.
I liked the first one, and I did confirm I had seen it before as a child.
Okay.
I didn't remember most of it. What I did remember, the fly chopstick situation.
Oh, sure.
Wax on and wax off, because there's no way you could possibly forget
that.
And
skeletons?
No, I did not remember that
at
all. And I remembered the like fancy kick at the end.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I remember being kind of like,
isn't
it sort of obvious what he's going to do, which is still how I felt this time, I have to admit.
Oh, it is.
But,
it is obvious. It is obvious. It's fun because Cobra Kai, as it goes on, Steve and I were talking about how Cobra Kai was really the thing that made a Karate Kid mythology. Like, even with the first 3 movies, they were just kind of like movies.
Right.
And Cobra Kai really made it like, this is a world. And they pull, like, so much random continuity in. And they really get in the weeds with things that happen in Karate Kid 2 and particularly Karate Kid 3. But they incorporated things like deleted scenes from the first movie, and they put them in as flashbacks to kind of flesh out why Daniel and Johnny have such a contentious relationship. So it was kind of cool to use those never before seen little clips and put them in Cobra Kai to establish.
Yeah, even just in the first 2 episodes, I feel like I noticed some of that of like, some of it was like the same scenes, but like different camera angles.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
okay. So it's right
cool.
in the pilot. All right. I haven't watched that in a while, but all right. So you liked the first one.
I did enjoy it. Yeah, it was fun.
Did you like it as like, oh, this is an old '80s movie kind of thing, or were you like, I enjoy this as a cinematic experience? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think I enjoyed it as a cinematic experience, but there were certain aspects that have that kind of like '80s whatever to them that I was like, all right, I just gotta.
Yeah.
Like, like some of the, like, just, like, character dynamics and, like, the way people are dressed and stuff like that. I just have to be like, all right, it's the 80s. I'm just accepting it. Yeah, and like, Mr. Miyagi is such a fun character. Yeah. And I feel like that's really what makes the movie for me. Like, Daniel is fine. Yeah. Like, he's kind of a whiny kid. And it's, like, inspiring to see him, like, whatever, learning karate and everything. But I feel like Miyagi is really what makes the movie.
Oh, sure. Yeah. He brings the gravitas, but also because his background is in comedy, like all those comedic moments with Mr. Miyagi, I think he also really sells. Curious if you've ever seen Macchio in anything else. Like, did you have to watch The Outsiders or anything like that? No.
Okay. Like, he looks familiar, but I don't know if that's just because, like, I exist in the world,
he's been in the biz for 50 years or whatever, so probably seen him before. But, yeah. And then Elizabeth Shue, who plays Allie Mills, went on. She was, Oscar nominated and everything. She reprises her role in Cobra Kai for like a 2-episode arc that's also very good.
Okay.
And she also takes over the role of Jennifer Parker in the Back to the Future sequels. So she's not Jennifer in the first movie, but for 2 and 3 she is.
Okay, yeah. I think I have a picture in my mind of what you're talking about.
All right.
It's been a
She's
while
also
since
in The
I've seen
Saint
those.
with Val Kilmer. Nobody likes that movie, but
I haven't seen
it's one of my favorites. So,
wow.
All right, yeah. So, what did you think in general? I mean, there's a whole beach scene, and they fight, and the radio breaks, and everything.
I know.
Like,
oh man.
How do you like the?
I don't know. For the entire movie, I just feel like it's like one long facepalm of like how terrible of a person Johnny is.
Yeah.
He just makes me angry. I
can't remember if they show how much of it is driven by Kreese in the first movie. Do you get that?
I feel like you don't get that until there's like more of the like karate training and scenes
Okay.
in like the tournament and stuff. And so it's like when he first shows up, it's just like this complete jerk
Yeah.
who's like messing with his ex-girlfriend and
Yeah.
like won't take no for an answer and everything,
Right.
which all of that is a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Like, it's supposed to be a red flag, but I also feel like the movie doesn't quite acknowledge how much of a red flag that is, and some
Yeah.
of that is a time period thing too. But I feel like it's not until later in the movie that you start to see like how much of it is the
Yeah.
karate school that he's been going
Yeah.
to. And
Well,
the
and
bad.
in the final battle, you know, you
Something.
really see Kreese being like, go, take out the weaknesses, cheat, and
Mhm, and he's kind of like,
I think you do see Johnny's, he's conflicted,
Right.
he's not like, yeah, And there is a scene where Kreese really like reams him out in the parking lot, and I can't remember if that's in 1 or if it's just in 2. I can't
think
remember.
that's in 2, and there's also a cut of that in
Gotcha.
in the first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But it's
So you see
not
a
in the
little bit.
first one, so I'm assuming it's a flashback to the second one.
Okay. Yeah, Johnny's doesn't have a huge role in number 2, but he comes back and you kind of get a little bit more humanizing out of there. So overall, fun movie?
Yeah, I liked it.
What would you rate it out of 5 stars?
I don't know, probably 4 or 5.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's higher than I thought you were going to say, so that's fun. And then you jumped over to The Next Karate Kid.
I did jump over to the next Karate Kid.
How'd you feel about that one?
I liked it
it's kinda
okay.
weird.
I feel like it a little bit was struggling with the fact that it's like introducing a new character, and it's like they're trying to repeat some of the beats and everything,
Right.
which is fine. Like, I don't have an issue with that. But also it's like I feel like they're a little bit struggling with the like, oh, she's a girl, so like, it's like she can't be getting in fights with the school bullies directly. It's like she has kind of a love interest who's doing I don't know. I feel like that like sort of
Okay.
like made it a little more difficult to like keep the plot together. And I also felt like Miyagi was less complex. Like, he talked in third person way more to the point that I was like, this feels a little
Okay.
like we've crossed a line.
All right. Gotcha.
But like the whole like monastery like situation and everything, I thought was great, and like the monks coming to visit them and everything,
Yeah.
like fantastic. Miyagi going shopping for a dress for her, 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Like, you can't beat that.
All right.
So I feel like just like some of the like her like love interest dude who I found so uncompelling.
Yeah.
It's like they show this other guy like being a creep and like messing with her. And then they show this guy who's like clearly supposed to be the like heroic love interest,
Yeah.
but he's also kind of being a creep and messing with her.
Right.
So that wasn't something that I cared for. But like I feel like that whole like school thing was not the most compelling.
Yeah.
But like the rest of it, any scene where
really-
she's like with Miyagi
The
or anything.
monastery was really the thing that I liked that a bit, and I thought that you would.
Yeah.
I thought you would like
It was
that,
pretty
so.
good.
And I feel like watching 2 or 3 is. It's kind of diminishing returns. I think people have a lot of fondness for 2. That's my least favorite. And 3 introduces sort of a new supervillain, and Daniel kind of is tempted to the dark side.
Oh, no.
But I just felt that one was a little bit more interesting to me, and certainly becomes more and more relevant as Cobra Kai would go on. But I thought the next Karate Kid might be just like a nice, interesting slice for you, and I don't know. I wasn't sure how you'd feel about Daniel. I thought maybe you'd like Julie better as a protagonist, because
Yeah, that's
Daniel's just
fair.
kind of a, he's kind of acts 40, you know what I mean, and looks 12,
Yes.
which I think works.
Well,
but I
the
didn't
whole
think
thing
you-
where it's like whatever, he's like trying to like flirt with Ally, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, this is great," and I'm like, I don't know.
You're not feeling
this
it?
kid looks like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, he
like, I
does.
don't know.
Yeah, he still kind of looks like a 12-year-old. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
baby face jeans, which
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the baby face jeans,
Yeah.
so I really am not one to throw stones on that account. But
I mean, I got kids menus into my 20s, so I understand
That's
how
rough.
that could be.
That's
not
rough.
anymore, but in my 20s. What about Cobra Kai? How'd you feel about Cobra Kai?
I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I feel like it's a little difficult, at least so far, because like Johnny's clearly taking the protagonist kind of role.
Yeah,
And like he just sucks so much in the first one.
yeah,
And he still kind of sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you see more of why, and like you feel bad for him, and there's like some nuance. But also like he's still just not a great person.
yeah.
And he's
Oh,
like,
that's-
yeah, I'm going to teach my neighbor karate in like the most toxic way possible that I was
Quiet.
taught. And I'm like, dude, did you learn nothing? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I'm sure that the rest of the series is going to like delve more into
Yeah.
that, and probably, but like just those first 2 episodes, I was like, I'm having a good time, but I have so many concerns about this
Yeah.
man.
It's funny because the series, I think, definitely goes on too long. I feel like that's kind of a common feeling, and Netflix really dragged it out. The last season they put out, like every 6 months, they put out like 4 episodes or something. It was a nightmare. But the first 2 seasons of that show are just so strong, and we do have them here in the collection. You can check them out. And yes, Johnny is an interesting protagonist because he is so unlikable, and it's sort of like in his unlikability, you kind of see as it goes that he does have a good heart. He's just a blunt instrument, and like him finding his way, and you get more about his background and everything. It's so much more interesting than just having a show about like Daniel having a karate school. Like I don't think that would have any appeal.
No.
Or Daniel and Mr. Miyagi traversing the globe looking for an artifact. Also, didn't really work as a series. So I think Cobra Kai, it finds its way.
Well, and I think it's so interesting that it starts out basically the way the Karate Kid starts out with like this kid is getting beat up and picked on by the bullies.
Yeah.
And this guy who knows karate jumps in to save him, and then it's like, all right, fine, I'll teach you some karate. And then the kid's like helping him clean stuff and that kind of thing. Like there's a lot of like real clear parallelism.
Oh, sure.
But also like kind of that twisted parallel of like Miyagi's like clean like this so that you're doing both arms and everything. And he's just like, yeah, wash the window however you want. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Do you see yourself ever revisiting this franchise?
Yeah, I think I would probably watch 2 and 3. I really was enjoying Cobra Kai, and so I think that I'll watch more of that. And I know Caleb wants to as well. And I know that like sooner or later probably I'll need to know some of the 2 and 3 stuff to do that.
Yeah, that is true. It becomes pretty integral. But though I will say, even though there are some connections, if you watch the first one and then jump right to Karate Kid Legends, you're totally fine. Like the new one, because it really focuses on a new character, and Machio and Jackie Chan are kind of supporting roles coming in, and even the connections to Cobra Kai, you really don't need it. They did a good job of making it so you can go in with almost no knowledge, and I do think you would enjoy Karate Kid Legends. It was a lot of fun. We saw it in theaters, and it was like all three of us, my wife, my son, we were all just like in it to win it. So the fights are pretty cool.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah,
good
I do enjoy
choreography.
that as a connoisseur of martial
I didn't want
arts.
to talk about that, actually. What did you study? What was the martial arts you?
I did a little bit of karate, but I mostly did taekwondo.
Did it ring true, like the training or anything, just like from your experiences? Like, were you seeing things and you're like, oh, that makes sense, or oh, that's a good idea? Or
yeah, some of it.
Did it seem legit, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yes, I think so. There were certain things that I'm like, why is he holding his hand like that? Like, that's such a weird way.
Sure.
And I mean, some of that is like different styles do different hand positioning. So like the karate that I did, you do this fist where you like tuck your thumb in on the side.
Okay.
And I've always thought that's weird. Like I did it because that's what they told me to do. But
Right.
it's like when I was doing taekwondo, it's like you put your thumb in front of your fist
Right.
like a normal person.
Yeah.
And that feels like, anyway.
Wouldn't you break? I guess you're not really punching in karate necessarily.
Well, you
It
don't.
just feels like you would.
So it's like for the karate, it's like you put it on the side.
Gotcha.
But it's
Okay.
really easy to put the tip in like that, and then you would hurt your thumb.
Right.
Whereas if you wrap it in front and hold it,
Right.
then it like keeps your fist
Right.
more intact.
Yeah.
So
That was vaguely
anyway,
threatening. I thought you were going to beat me up, and I got nervous. But anyway.
but like some of the stuff where it's like, again, the like painting and the like wax on, wax off to like practice the blocks.
Yeah.
Like that felt very reasonable that would work.
Yeah.
Some of the blocks I was like, you shouldn't do.
Don't do it.
Down blocks, you just
That's
leave
a
your
no.
face open.
Okay.
But that's a personal preference thing.
All right.
I kind of wish that we'd seen more of him learning. Like we see some of him learning punches, but we don't really see any of him learning kicks. And so then they're like, oh yeah, the tournament is tomorrow. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You're not ready. Like
Yeah.
all you know how to do is block and punch
Yeah.
and barely punch. But I mean, then clearly in the tournament, he does actually know how to do some like kicks and takedowns and other stuff like
Yeah.
that. So,
Okay.
and the tournament also stressed me out because they're just like fully kicking and punching each other. Like
Yeah.
they're not like marking. They're like, yeah, I just kicked you in the head,
That's
and
true.
I'm like, oh, okay.
They really go for it. I love Miyagi's whole setup. The gardens, the water, the trees, the fence. I mean, the whole thing. The cars. I love it
I know.
all.
It's
I love it all. I
incredible.
want to live there. That's Airbnb that place, and
It's
then
true.
we'll have a staff retreat there.
It's true. It did raise some questions for me though, because it starts out and he's like in his like maintenance office, I guess.
Right.
And he's like a maintenance guy.
Yeah.
But then for the rest of the movie, like he's at his house all the time, seemingly not working.
I've
Daniel's not going
literally
to school.
never
he
thought
has
about
this
that in my life.
legit house set up with a garden and a ton of like
Right.
fancy cars. And I was like, how is this working exactly?
Yeah.
But I'm okay with suspending disbelief on that one. It
Yeah.
was just kind of a funny thing to
it
notice.
went right over my head, so I think that makes perfect sense. Okay, well, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, and it was like Cobra Kai is what kind of got me into revisiting it. I hadn't watched them in years, and I would not swear that I had seen Karate Kid 2. in the 80s or 90s. Like I might have been watching that for the first time. I don't know. Or I saw it like bits on TV when movies used to air like that. But it has been really fun to revisit it. I also really enjoyed the Cobra Kai game, the video game, which I think we have here. And I am currently playing Karate Kid Street Rumble. And it's fun because you can play as Daniel, Miyagi, Ally, and then I think you can unlock a couple more characters as you go. And it's just a classic side-scrolling beat-em-up, but that's been pretty cool too. So the day I worked the election, in all the lulls, I played a lot of Karate Kid Street Rumble.
Nice.
But I saw it as research for this episode.
Yeah,
so.
no, I think that's totally
And you do kind
correct.
of work through it is an adaptation of the movie, which is sort of fun, all these years later.
That is fun.
But yeah, Machio's book was good, and I don't know, it's a fun franchise to pop back in and revisit. It's an easy lift. I think just like the kind of chill movies to just throw on and watch.
Well, and it's like, I forget when it was that when we were talking about like any like movie or story that involves like, oh, we're like fixing up this old barn and turning it into a bakery or whatever. I think we were talking about Legends and Lattes. That's why.
Yeah.
It's like just the kind of innate compelling. I feel like the same thing with like a training movie.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. There's almost a certain similarity to like Legally Blonde where she's like studying and walking on her treadmill and everything. Yeah. And I love that movie. So
yeah,
it's hard to go wrong with that kind of like character arc.
Yeah, that's definitely true. There's a funny thing about the name Karate Kid because they were pretty well into the movie, like making the movie, when somebody was like, DC Comics owns the trademark to the name The Karate Kid. And they were like, what now? And there is a character from probably the 60s from the team, the Legion of Superheroes. Have you ever heard of the Legion of Superheroes?
I don't think so.
Okay. They're set in like the far future, and usually like they have Superboy or Supergirl as a member, and doesn't matter. They're not super well known, but Karate Kid is one of them. And so they had to get permission from DC Comics. So if you watch the credits, it says like, I don't remember if it says they own the Karate Kid or if it's like through special arrangements with DC Comics or something. So they didn't make it so it's an adaptation of that character, but they always have to acknowledge like it's DC Comics origin, which I think is kind of fun.
That is kind of fun.
Yeah.
A little connection.
All right. Well, if you watch 2 or 3 or Legends or more Cobra Kai, you have to update us with our next bookshelf.
Absolutely.
All right.
It'll appear on a bookshelf sooner or later, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Okay, well, I know that you love the Karate Kid franchise.
Yeah, I do.
But have you ever tried breaking the rules that we set up for this podcast?
Oh, no. What are we doing?
So what we're doing is usually we rotate, and then lately we've been putting in a random pick.
You say usually, but we only did that once.
Well,
but I
that's
think
true.
in our minds, it was the new
Haven't
new
we done
way of
that
going
more than
forward.
once?
I don't think so.
Oh,
no, I think it
well.
was just whatever we tried that one
My
time.
concept of Animal Farm.
Animal
That's what we
Jeez.
tried.
Yeah,
Animal
that was great.
Farm
That
made
was
me
great.
so
I wasn't
mad about
depressed
those
enough.
gaslighting
thank
pigs.
you. Thank you for making me.
Anyway, we were going to do another random pick for this week.
Yeah.
But we said it's summer reading.
It's a summer color our world.
We are coloring our world.
Our world.
We need to do something color related.
We
so
do.
we broke the rules and picked what we're doing together.
Together as a team.
We said we're going to do cross stitch, but to keep the randomness element, we're going to randomly select a cross stitch pattern to try.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
do you want to draw from this
All right.
mug to see what
do.
the pattern is?
Are we sharing one pattern, or are we each picking a pattern?
Let's each pick a pattern.
Okay. So there you go.
Okay. I'm picking my pattern.
Here's the reveal. It's perfect for radio.
I know.
Here's some ASMR of me opening this. Enjoy that. Well, mine has so many patterns. I don't understand. Am I supposed to do
It's like
all
a
of these?
sampler. I think you could just pick a couple if you
Oh my
want.
gosh. Okay.
Mine is like a bunch of food items like sushi and burgers and pizza and tacos and ice cream
okay.
and stuff.
Sure. Oh, that's fun. Mine is nature themed, so it's it's sun and moon and birds and rainbows and trees and bugs. Yeah, I can't commit to doing all of these.
That's okay.
I'm
You
gonna
can just pick a
couple.
few that you like.
I'm gonna pick a couple. I don't know how to do this.
I don't know either. We're going to figure it out.
Oh, you don't know at all?
Well, I've done embroidery.
Okay.
And I
mean-
understand the concept. It's like you
Okay.
have the cloth, you've got your embroidery thread,
Okay.
and you make little X's.
And this is the one where you have like a circular frame or something around it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think you
and
need
you're
that.
just kind of like going
Yeah.
through and back up again in a pattern. I
Yes.
could probably do it.
I think we can. I believe in us.
Okay.
I'm excited.
All right.
So we're going to get some thread. We're
Okay.
going to get the cloth. And we're going to pick each a couple of the food/nature items.
Okay.
And we're going to cross stitch them.
All right. I'm really digging this snail. I got a snail down
that's
here
pretty great,
at
yeah.
the bottom. I mean, it's just a couple of colors. I don't know if I need to do something more colorful to color our world for the summer reading program. But,
I mean, you could change the color scheme if you wanted. I wouldn't take off points.
Okay. All right. Well,
So-
I'm excited. I've never done it. I actually have thought about it before. Like, I think we went so far as to, like, get a sampler, and I was like, that seems like a lot of work. So I've never actually...
Understandable.
This will be the time, and
Yeah.
we'll contribute to coloring our world.
I know.
Okay.
This is one of the only like weird nerdy craft things that I haven't tried. I
I know.
feel like.
I'm excited.
So,
I'm
know.
sure you'll surpass me in it. But
Well, we'll see.
what are you feeling from your list there? What do you think you're going to go for?
I don't know. There's like an everything bagel situation.
Oh.
That speaks to me.
That feels like a lot of work, though. All those little
Well,
seeds.
I don't know. I don't know how. We'll see.
I like that
We'll see how far we
Coca-Cola.
go.
I like the can.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Classic.
I mean, pizza. That's always a win.
Yeah,
in my
man,
book.
I'm starving. Okay.
So,
Okay.
all right.
Yeah,
Well, if you want to cross stitch along with us, you're welcome to.
that's right.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks and talk about everything else we're doing.
Yep. And then my award-winning co-host and I will return in a month and display our cross stitch.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Wax on.
Wax off.
You did not want to do that.